Contactors are really cool for starting motors in a really simple way, but they're really nothing more than just large relays. But relays, contactors, what actually makes them work? What's going on inside of a contactor that causes it to use the electricity for the coil, does the stuff with the contactors? Well, the best answer is let's take a look inside. So on this contactor, we're gonna first remove the auxiliary contact block at the top, and using little clips on the side, we can remove the top, and inside, we see the spring that returns it back to the normal position when the energy is removed. But we also see inside this coil. Now this coil has electricity that's supplied by the coil terminals, not the contact terminals. And the purpose of this coil is to supply an electromagnetic energy, just like any electromagnet, wrapped around a center of iron. And this core, which is a ferrous core, pulls like a magnet to engage the contacts. We can also manually do this by pressing on the top of the contactor. And the sound that we hear is very familiar. Every time you supply energy to the coil terminals of a contactor, you hear that click. For a large contactor, that sound is much more defined, clunk, clunk, each time it turns on and off. And the spring ensures that when we release the energy to the coil, or when we stop pressing on it manually, it will return back to the open position. That means that all of the contacts inside of this contactor are normally open. Now, sometimes we need the auxiliary contact to engage with the coil so that when we need an extra set of normally open or normally closed control signals, they also interface with that piece that's moving on the top of the contactor. But it's the coil that really makes the contactor do its job, just like most other solenoid-controlled devices that contain a coil of wire wrapped around a ferrous core to create an electromagnetic field that causes the energy to go from electricity into motion, which allows valves, contactors, and all kinds of other devices to actually do their job. These electromagnets, as mysterious as they are responsible for most of the motion that happens inside any facility, and I think that's pretty fascinating.